I met a gypsy.
And so the track that we all know and love now, when did that start? Like, I guess because it's been this evolving thing over time. Like the track as we know it now, and it's been very similar for a long time, and for good reason. Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But when did it kind of take that form?
Well, he could probably tell you the story about meeting Jody Weisel for the first time. But it kind of started in 1996 when we first did our first national, if you want to tell your Jody Weisel story.
So Dave Dameron, I'm acquainted with Dave Dameron. I knew who he was, and Dave knew who I was. And we're putting on the first race, and there was a gentleman there standing there when we're talking. I says, well, how do you guys like the race? How do you like the track layout? And Jody said, it sucks.
I could imagine that.
Yeah. And he says, it's terrible. And I could feel the, hair behind my neck. I said, what? And Dave, who is Dameron, who is a friend of mine, pulled me off to the side and said, Bud, do you know who that is? And I said, no, I have no idea who's, and he says, well, that's Jody Weisel. He buys ink by the barrel, and so he said, so I went back and I said, well, if you think you're so smart, I'm telling Jody this, I'll meet you out here next week and you design the track. I'll let you design the track, because we were having our national and he was telling me all the things were wrong with it. It was right-hand turn off the start. We're going parallel to the grandstand. We should be coming at the grandstand. All the stuff that Jody, does and he's opinionated about. And so I said, I'll meet you. Well, he didn't think I'd show up, but I showed up on the Tuesday. I drove out there in my car and out of my work shoes, which were my dress shoes, and we walked the track, and he told me everything should be done. And I says, well, can you help me design this from how? Oh, yeah, I'll help you. And so that's how the relationship with Jody and I came about. But it was almost started out to be blows first, but then when he realized that I was serious. I wanted to make an iconic track for the fans and the industry because I knew this was going to be something big.
Yeah.
And in fact, to that point, Malcolm Smith, who is a good friend of mine, I raced with Malcolm many times. He said, Bud, this is back then. He said, Bud, what are you doing out there? All that dirt and all that, because it wasn't a motocross. It wasn't Glen Helen motocross. He says, you're going to lose your shirt out there. He was a little
Yeah.
And I said, Malcolm, I think I can make something out here kind of cool. And he says, no, you're going to lose your shirt. Well, fast forward 25 years, and we'd go to a party or something, and he'd introduce me to his friends. He said, this is Bud Feldkamp. He owns Glen Helen. That was my introduction, so he changed his mind. And but that took about 40 years to do that. We've been working on this thing for a long time.
Oh, yeah. And
it's a labor of love.
Oh, man, for sure. Like, you just don't do the amount of races that you guys do, like the commitment to practice, the way that there's so many professionals go there and test there. And, like, it is. And I've traveled all over the world. And I've ridden all over the world. And as far as a motocross track and a motocross race goes, I was last year. I had my family, my best friend. Like I just got married, so my wife was there with me, and we'd been training all year. We said at the end of 2022, like, hey, next year we're gonna do World Vets at Glen Helen, and we trained all year, and we flew together to do some boot camps and training and riding, and we had a group chat going all year, and then we get to the race. Or we all get to California early, and we spend 2 weeks riding here, and then we had an RV parked there for the weekend, and then we all raced 2 classes, and we did the Vet Motocross of Nations together, and I was like in tears at the end of it. Like I pulled off of my last moto, and it was so hard. Mm-hmm. Like it was just the track was so rough, and it was so physically demanding, and we'd put in so much work, and like I was emotional to finish it, So it's like it's the kind of place that can bring that out of a person. It's special, and there's so much history that's happened there, and you can't create that. Like that doesn't just accidentally happen. You know, that takes a lot of people working very hard to, you know, give people like that level of experience, you know.
And that's been our vision, and that's what we wanted to do. And I think that is part of maybe the friction that we've seen from the East Coast in terms of, you know, we can't do this. And I said, well, why can't we? Why can't we open up the pits? Why don't we have open pits? Why don't we have people in the infield? Let's make it the way motocross used to be. You know, and make motocross should be. It should be a fan experience. You know, let's have the riders go by and high five the people on the fans. Just let the fans be on the fence and wave their towels. All those things that are small, but they're endearing. I mean, they make memories. They make memories for a young. I think opening the pits is just a huge thing, and I really lobbied for that for a long time and was just getting nowheres with that. But that's the kind of things we did, and Lori has been very supportive in doing that with me, and I think that's what caused a lot of the friction, I think, between the West Coast and the East Coast.
Yeah. And so how often would you ride Glen Helen?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I don't think I really rode it very much at all.
Really?
No, I was more into the desert. I was racing in cars. I raced the Baja 1000.
Did you? In a truck?
No, in a single Class 1 car.
Yep.
Won it overall with Malcolm. And Malcolm and I,
wow.
1976 and 77. The Baja 500, we've won 3 times overall. Now, these are overall, so it's not just winning the class. So I was really into that, and that's part of the reasons I think I got Glen Helen is because one of the supervisors called me up and said, Bud, the supervisor of the county of San Bernardino, he said, Bud, there's a lease coming up at RFB, and could be a racetrack. I think you know a little bit about racing. Why don't you bid on it?
Yeah, right.
And that's why I did. So.
And so how does the lease work? You get it for an X amount of years, or?
We get it for like 10 years with options, and we got the lease in 85, and what are we in 24 now?
24, yeah.
We've been through a lot trying to get renew our leases. We last year, 2 years ago, was it, Lori?
2 years ago, so we renewed it.
How long for?
2037.
Okay, so we got time.
We got time. We're going to be there a while.
Yeah, okay, I love that.
Yeah, and this is county land. I don't own the land. This is county land.
Yeah.
But they want to put it to good use for recreation, and so we have to be stewards for the land. Yeah. We have to deal with the county, make sure they're happy. We've got to make sure that our vendors are happy, and our riders are happy, and our spectators are happy, and all those things that go on, running the track, and it's a big business. Lori works 7 days a week doing it. She is the personification of Glen Helen. So that's a very important. That's why I wanted her here today.
No, I'm glad. Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm glad.
She knows a lot more about Glen Helen than I do.
Yeah, yeah. Where did your passion for the sport come from originally?
My first motorcycle was in 1967, I think. A friend of mine bought a Honda 160, and I was in dental school, and he said, "Oh man, that bike's cool," because I never could have a bike. But in dental school, there was hills behind Lolinda, and I said, "Well, I like one of those." And he said, "Well, I know where one is for $400. You can get one for $400." Well, I didn't have $400, but my girlfriend at the time, I convinced her. I said, "This bike is so cool. This bike is, if I could just borrow that $400 maybe from you, this would all I will ever need. This is the coolest bike." Anyway, she loaned me the $400.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.